Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and in today's video, I'm going to be discussing the dilemma of aquatics, and how I think the oceans be saved from being a desolate wasteland in Path of Titans. So, anyway, if you are new here, make sure to like and subscribe, it helps me out an absolute ton, like a lot, and yeah, anyway, enjoy the video. Today's video off with, I wanted to go over some reasons why the aquatics are not used or cared about by the player base, and, later on we'll get into some fixes I have. I've come up with some pretty interesting fixes, I think. But anyway, so the first reason that I can think of is the lack of playables. We only have got 2 current vanilla playables that you can use in the ocean, like full-time. Not semi-aquatics or anything, but like full aquatics, we only have 2 of them. And there's only 2 more planned. And when you compare that to the 20 plus land or semi-aquatic dinosaurs or playables, because Megalania is not dinosaur, same as the birds, but, because we've got so many more options on land, why would I go play in the sea to see the same 4 creatures? Because they're only doing 4 vanilla ones as far as we are aware. That is Kaiwakia, Urinosaurus, I think that's it. And then we also have got Lead Sichthies and Tylosaurus. Now, those last 2, I'm actually excited for those. I would stop playing this game, but still keep tabs on the game until those are released, because they're pretty cool. Tylosaurus, another Mosasaurid. It's pretty cool. Lead Sichthies, the largest fish, well, the largest bony fish to ever exist. Fantastic, gimme that. But anyway, we're gonna have to wait a long time for those, because Alderon seems to not want to release new playables recently. We're still waiting on Microraptor. It's been how many decades? I don't know. But, so basically, the main point of this is, the lack of playables is, that's the main reason that I thought of why no one plays in the sea. Because again, currently it's just Kai and Urino. Like, Urino's a 2 slot that can pounce, Kai's a 3 slot that can barrel roll and bite you. That is it. That is all they do. They do nothing else apart from swim around and do that. And anyway, so on to another point I'd like to bring up is the size, the sheer scale of the oceans in Path of Titans as a whole. I think the oceans are far too large. They are way, way, way too big. Because, right, so I'm only using Gondor, I'm not using modded maps for this current, point, but Gondor is such an odd map. It has got so many unique biomes, and yet only 100 players can actually join the server. The problem with that is, there's so many places to go on land, that why would I ever go in the sea, which is just one giant desolate place? Sure, they changed the color of the water, or, they might add some kelp or coral in certain locations, but other than that, they all look the same. And again, back to only having 2 playables, why would I go swim for hours and hours and hours with a place where I will only see 1 of 2 things, or maybe nothing at all, when I can go on land and play around with loads of creatures, loads of different environments? It's just so much better. And I think, something else that is kind of an issue is, because of how much land there is, there's no reason to use the coasts. Like, there is only 1 coastline biome, and it's Ripple Beach. And nobody likes it. The only time you go there is for the frog pond, or if you spawned there 5 times in a row. Yes, that happened to me a lot. Very annoying. But that's literally it. That's the only coastal biome on Gondor. Everything else is inland. Sure, they have coasts, but they're not defined coastal biomes. There's mudflats as well, but nobody goes to the mudflats. It's the only land location where the Starfish Collection quest is available. No one goes there. It's such a dead place. And I think that if they were to shrink the ocean, they would also have to shrink the ground, the total land mass of Gondor. Not by a lot, but I'll get into that later on, because I do come up with that as kind of a solution. But like I say, I'll talk through that later on. Also, I do want to quickly mention, this video is probably going to be a lot of yapping, mainly because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of the oceans not getting any attention from the player base or Alderon. Like, sure, we got new aquatic critters recently, that was great, but they mostly spawn in rivers, inland, so that's fantastic, you know? That's absolutely fantastic. But anyway, the third and final reasons why I think the oceans are abandoned is simply because there is nothing to do there. The oceans, there's nothing. There is literally nothing. You know when I said swimming around for hours and hours? I put that to the test. I swam around in the ocean on a modded server with modded playables, and there was zero other aquatics for 2 hours. Zero. Not a single person was playing aquatics, and even if they were, the chances of me finding them magically are nil because of how much ocean there is. And, you know, I think that when you compare it onto land, where there's lots more players, you have skies to play around with, there's a thal or a hats. Then you can also be a semi-aquatic in the rivers, which you can then ambush onto things crossing them or inland. Carnivores can hunt herbivores, herbivores gotta stay alive. There's no aquatic herbivores, they don't exist. We got Deinocheirus, but why would it ever go in the sea? They recently buffed the land build for it as well, so again, why would it even touch the water when it can just sit on land and eat berries? Because they haven't given Deinocheirus the ability to eat sea plants yet, which I think is a bit odd, because that's like the perfect thing for it. But, you know, I don't know. But there's basically nothing to do in the oceans. There's no prey items you can hunt successfully. It is literally just a barren wasteland, which now has got some critters, like I mentioned before. But all they do is pester you. They either pester you or they destroy you in a fight, because they're just way too strong sometimes. And, you know, when it comes to... Oh, this is a good aspect. Questing. When it comes to questing, now, on land, what you're used to is you move, like, 5 centimeters from where you just were, and there's already another 5 piles of what you need. It's great. You do not need to wander around for hours and hours and hours just to do one quest. Except for the Gifts of the Sea quest. Nobody likes that quest. Boo. I am not collecting 5 shells and 35 clams. Nuh-uh. But, anyway, back to the point. Ocean quests, they are quite a thing. So, instead of moving, I don't know, 5 feet to get to the next pile, you have to swim a mile. You have to go and explore and look around. Even if you know where they are, the only one that you don't need to do this with is rocks and the anemone one. Maybe branches, because they spawn in big piles, but other than those 3, every other quest in the ocean, you have to go miles for, even clams in some certain parts. And don't even get me started on the delivery quests. Yikes. The ocean delivery quests, they are wild. One of them you have to go on land to deliver clams. Another one you gotta find a pearl to deliver it across an entire location. And then there's one that I'm pretty sure might still be bugged, but if you go to that location, it will say you need to cross the entire map to go drop off 5 shells. The problem is, once you leave the location, the timer ticks down, and it's not a planned thing because it's the same length timer as normal. I'm pretty sure it's just a bugged out quest. I don't know if it's still in the game, but I remember it very clearly. And, you know, altogether, enough of that rambling, but altogether, the quests and everything about the ocean, it's just harder and tedious. Now, being harder would be fine, but it's just not. It's harder in terms of it's annoying and takes more time. Not many people have the patience for it. It's not harder in terms of difficulty. It is simply just, this is incredibly annoying. That is all of what I could come up with and what some friends could come up with Path of Titans Oceans. I even asked other YouTubers, I asked Germs, Dino Knight, Jurassic D. They all came up with similar stuff. So that's all that we could come up with what was wrong with the Path of Titans Oceans. Now, is there a way that we can fix them or make them somewhat viable or even fun? Just fun to play in, you know? Just better than sticking to the land all the time. Well, I think a good place to start would be changing the size of them. Obviously, before I mention the size of the oceans, it's way too much. and as well as the land. There's too much land. There's no encouragement to go in the sea, which on Gondor I think should be a thing. So I think they should decrease the total land size of Gondor by 10%. You know, just shrink everything by 10%. Everything. And then decrease the size of the oceans by 20%. Just put off 20% of them. It is not needed. We do not need these giant corners of flat wasteland to play around in. What's anyone doing there? Looking if they can see someone within 3 miles? Because you can't. There isn't anyone. And, you know, I've mentioned this in the past in some videos about the maps being too big for 100 players, and then other people have said, nah, they're fine. We just need to wait for 200 player servers, which is literally just agreeing with me, but saying they're coming up with a solution, which is fine, you know, they are. Again, just like Microraptor, we are waiting. But anyway, less room on the land and in the sea will mean there'll be more people around to hunt, and there'll be less space on land, so it means more people can go onto the water, well, into the water. And as well as, this doesn't just fix this. What decreasing the land size would do would also fix very frustrating things like T-Rex only having one diet, because you wouldn't need to go and sit in a hotspot the entire day, because there would be more people everywhere, because there's less places to go. See how it kind of ties in? Fixes a couple of issues just by doing a simple thing. You know, it's either they do this, or, you know, we'll probably get 200 player servers and then we'll have double the people in the hotspots, and maybe 2 people playing aquatics. Now, here's another quick point I want to get into. I mentioned that there is only 1 or 2 coastal biomes, and I think something that could fix this would be having more quests based on coasts and beaches. Like, Gondor is literally supposed to be an island map, and yet it feels just as much as inland-based than Pandora, just with more waterways. And I think adding simple quests like go to the location within a location, and have it be on the coast, but maybe on like a tiny island where you have to swim out slightly, hold on, let me cook, that could be a good way for aquatics to interact with the land players, you know? Obviously not semi-aquatics, because they'll be fine swimming, but like, let's say I'm a T-Rex, and, you know, far in the future, there's a Tylosaurus. It wants to eat my T-Rex. Well, I have to go swim over to this small island, which you can already do as a T-Rex in the game, and I will get a very good quest, like a big quest out of that. A lot of marks, a lot of growth. I don't know the exact numbers on vanilla, so I'm just going to say a lot. But then there's a risk of a Tylosaurus coming to kill me, or a Kai, or a pack of Urinos. You know, something like that could be pretty fun. You know, it'd be a cool challenge. And it would be incredibly easy to do, because those quests are already in the game, such as Stego Mountain, Ripple Beach, and Titan's Pass. They all have them. And, you know, the ones inland are quite boring, I won't lie. They are quite boring to do inland, because it's literally just, I've walked from this field to this field. That is it, there's no risk or anything. But a coastline version, with a chance of interacting with aquatics, some danger, some possible danger for that risk-reward balance, that, my friends, could be interesting. The next step would be working on playables. To get more people in the ocean, the new playables, leads, and Tylosaurus need to be implemented, otherwise there's gonna be no one. The only time people actually do go in the oceans now is when an aquatic mod is released, but I'll get onto mods later. So, more people would probably go play in the sea if we had a Tylosaurus or a lead, some sort of giant aquatic. People love playing the big things. Apex's most played things in the game, I think. That's just a guess, because I see them a lot. And Tylosaurus and leads would be perfect for that. You know, you could have a Tylosaurus duo hunt a herd or a school of lead Sickbees. But Alderon shouldn't stop there. Adding new quests would also be great, like more quests than just the ones I meant with the environment, like such as hunter-specific playable quests for aquatics. That would be great. Like, imagine you log on, you go play Tylosaurus, you know, you're sub-adult, you're pretty quick, and your quest is to successfully hunt a Kai. Now, wouldn't it be cool if you were able to pull that off somehow, either by ambushing it or just tracking it down over a long course of time slowly? I think that would be pretty cool. Now, it would also, a quest like that would have to give more growth because it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and potential death. Like, it should give a lot of reward if that's ever added. And I'm pretty sure it'd work similar to, the hunt 3 critters or hunt type of fish. It'd work like that, but you'd only have to hunt 1. Now, this won't, of course, make the ocean as lively as the land, but, I'm just putting my hands here. These are all plausible ideas that would guarantee at least a couple more people to play in the sea and pop. Because, a lot of people do like doing quests for some reasons, especially the weird quests. But anyway, I'm not done yet. So far, all we've covered is the vanilla ideas, but this is Path of Titans, and we are blessed with the glorious opportunity of creation that is mods. Mods add so much content to Path of Titans, and aquatic mods, they are not lacking. They do not let down the ocean at all. In total, currently, in the game, we've got 13 modded aquatics, ranging from 2 slots like Surfactinus, Dunkleosteus, all the way up to 5-slot apexes, like Prognathodon, Mosasaurus, even a 6-slot, the Leviathan, or however you say it. The modded aquatics are vast. They can basically make their entire ecosystem with themselves, and they add a lot more options for players to use in the sea. But they're not very used. A lot of servers will have a couple of them, but never all of them, due to the lack of actual aquatic players. Now, in my entire life playing Pop, I've only met one aquatic main, who was a Kai main, and that's it, only one. And even then, he would sit in the rivers. Because also, I think that is a bit of a problem. I forgot to mention that the aquatics, they just sit in rivers. But, everyone already knows that. And I think that, it's previously mentioned about the vanilla changes. I think those are what should drag the players to the sea. The modders should just provide some sort of entertainment for the sea, Because the modders can't really do anything. They can't really, get people to go in the ocean on vanilla servers, and on community, at most they can do is release a fun aquatic playable, and that's it. Because what usually happens is a modded land playable will get released. People will play it for a year or something, even after it's released. Maybe never stop. If an aquatic one's released, I'll give it a week, and then it falls off, and then nobody touches it apart from the rare occurrences. Some of those weird people that like to be quirky. Nah, I'm kidding. Some people love aquatics, which is fine. But you guys are rare. You're a dying species. Anyway, now we're on to the part of the video where I've been yapping. Some of you might want to click off, but please stay. Stay. Don't leave. Do not click off this video. Do not leave. Or I'll make you play single player for a week. Alright, now that I've got your attention and you're stuck here, let me share with you some crazy but pretty interesting ideas I have on my own creative ways of fixing the ocean with the ocean environments. Now, why is it that in real life, a storm affects the ocean pretty drastically? Storms in real life affect the oceans, even underneath the water, pretty effectively. They rile up the sea, they make it dangerous. I think that should be in Path of Titans. I think in a future update, I'd hope that they make it when the weather turns stormy, the ocean waves become wild, violent, and anything that's small underneath, like a Uranosaurus, it needs to go breathe. It would have a difficult time trying to go get air. That would make getting oxygen or keeping your oxygen pretty important, especially in the sea. And I also think that there would also be a layer of murkiness. Not in the depths of the ocean, just kind of maybe 20 meters from the surface to 20 meters down. That would be pretty cool, Like the waves, they're dragging debris, sand, all that. The wind as well is also contributing to that. I think if they actually made the oceans stormy during a stormy time of the weather, that makes no sense, Orca. That's an idiot sentence. That was also stupid to say. But you know what I mean. Hopefully, stormy weather should make the ocean a lot more dangerous. Because oceans are pretty dangerous in the storm, I don't know. I don't know why that's not been, even considered in the game. But I think that It would also decrease the visibility of how much you can see, make it harder to get to the surface, and it would also affect non-aquatics who, for some reason, are swimming from the island to get to other islands who are in the sea. Their stamina would drain faster for them, and they'd slowly lose oxygen because, water crashing into you whilst you're swimming, it's going to get inside your nose and your mouth. You're going to swallow it. Eventually, you're going to get less oxygen. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. It probably isn't, but I'm not an expert on swimming. And I think all of this in total would add so much more to Path of Titans. Like, just imagine it. Just imagine. It would be pretty cool. Anyway, another idea I have on my mind is flooding. Now, this one, unlike the Stormy one, has actually been, asked before, I'm pretty sure, if flooding was possible in Path of Titans. And I'm not asking for giant, like, tsunamis to cover Grand Plains. But, something like Alderon themselves have teased pushing over a log. Like, imagine if you pushed over a log and it blocked up a river and, there was a drought, that river's water went down. Imagine if they did that. Well, this would be during storms, sea levels would rise slightly and increase the depth or height of inland rivers because, a lot of seawater is coming in. And I think, this would be incredibly intensive to code and program, but if it's possible, I would love to see it. Like, if the storm manages to drag loads of water inland, that would be pretty cool. It'd make it a lot harder for people to swim across little rivers, and it would make it so aquatics don't need to crawl on land to get inland. Because you know how annoying that is when I'm a T-Rex and I see a Kai and it's just crawling on land. I want to kill it, but then I'm a bad person for killing it. Or I'm the Kai in the example, and then an Allo sees me. The Allo's hungry. He's probably going to take that advantage. I'm just trying to get to land. But if there was floods which increased the water height, then you'd just be able to kind of swim. Maybe have to crawl a little bit, but swimming would be a better option, And I think, in terms of coding, like the storm affecting visibility and making terrestrial dinosaurs swim worse, that is less intensive. That could literally just be, oh, let's change the visual effects of the storm when you're out at sea and under the water, obviously, as well in the ocean. And then we'll simply add status effects when you're within certain levels or parts of the ocean as certain playables. That isn't that hard to do. Alderon has already done something similar with water too, such as the healing pools in Hot Springs and Hunter's Thicket, because everyone forgets about that one. So anyway, most or all of what is in this video that I've discussed is definitely possible. Some of it is, again, much harder to do, and others, in my opinion, would make Path of Titans a lot more worth playing, or a lot more worth going into the oceans than certain things I've said. But everything in this video, I think, would boost how many people actually go in the sea. Anyway, I know I was kind of fumbling on that last part. A lot of it might not have made sense. Please, if you can, maybe try and rewatch the last, 5 minutes. I really was trying to work with what I've written on my script and also add something new. I was struggling. It was not good. But anyway, I'm probably going to finish this video here. I really hope you enjoyed, and please leave a comment below. Oh god, that voice crack. Yikes. Anyway, please leave a comment below if you agree with any of the points I have, or if you've got any of your own, or do you even play aquatics in your free time? I want to know, so go ahead, leave a comment, and let me know. Anyway, make sure to like and subscribe. There is a linky to my Discord in the description below. Thanks for watching, and have an amazing, great day. See you later. Goodbye.